You have some really great questions, and your timing for them is actually perfect because I'm finalizing the delivery modes module. And so your questions are spot on. So let's go through each one of them individually. Coaches versus consultants, 9 grid process works for both. Yes, absolutely does. So let's talk about custom proposals. Custom proposals is where your business model goes astray. It's where you start to promise to do things that you probably normally wouldn't do, may not like to do, and you do it because in a lot of cases you want the money. But this is where establishing boundaries within your business and taking stances within your business and saying, these are the things that I'm not going to do anymore or that I won't do. Should you never do them? I'm not going to ever tell somebody to not do them because we have to make money. But my preferred answer for this question is no, you should not need to do any kind of custom proposals for your business. You've got your 9 boxes, and that is the thing. Now, having said that, let me go over to the iPad here. So, my preferred answer is no. However, if you find yourself in need of money and it's the thing that you can do, do it. Just don't make a habit of doing it because it's very easy to make it a habit. And in fact, you alluded to it in your statement. You're like tired of doing it because it's a pain, right? It takes you out of your comfort mode, takes you out of your zone, it takes you out of your defined structure of your process. There's a lot of negatives to doing it. The only positive is it can bring you money at a time when you need it. But I want you to know that consultants do customize their work, but if you use it within the system that we're going through in this program, you will customize the work based on your knowledge of your process. So you have probably seen me draw this before, where we talk about a step and we're helping clients go from this problem to this success. And we do that by this action. And how we do that is defined by the actions here that we take with our clients. And you may find that you draw the line like this for normal clients. For special clients, we might do some consulting. So we can do it in a couple of ways. We can do this consulting custom proposal by simply bringing up from underneath this line we've drawn different pieces of knowledge that we have to help clients. We can pull these up into here and just make this part of the process. So that's one way to customize the project that you're doing, but not changing your structure, not changing your signature process. The problem with a custom proposal is you begin to lose sight of who you are in the business you've set up, and your customers will also lose sight of why they should know you or why they should use you because you just begin being everything to everybody again. So hopefully that makes some sense. The next thing on your questions here is talking about the value ladder. And I actually love this question because I'm going to have a video on this question explaining how I personally believe that the value ladder is dead. And what I mean by that is the value ladder is really our old way of thinking. It's this ladder where we ascend our clients. We start them off with something cheap and low priced, and we move them up to something expensive and high priced. This requires different offers, different messaging. Like there's lots of little things that we can do in between here, which we'll call the mid, that lead you to, again, expanding your business offering to stuff beyond things that you can or want to be known for. The value ladder or the product ladder, as it's called, the ascension ladder is another name for it. It basically is low, medium, high ticket type offers, and all of them are independent and separate. Sometimes they may link them together and they may feel linked together, but you just never really know what you're getting. And everybody, frankly, knows that the whole goal of this is to take you from this cheap stuff down here to your expensive stuff down here. So everybody gets it, everybody's leery of it. With this program, what I want you to start to think about is stop thinking about value ladders, product ladders, ascension ladders, and instead start thinking about creating an ecosystem around your one offer. And the way that we do that is we think about ways we can share, ways we can show, and ways we can serve. Let me go through each one of these real quick. When we share our offer, and all of these are revolving around the 9 steps. When we share, we do that as either an author or a speaker. That means we can write books, which we can sell, low ticket offers. We can write keynotes, which can be medium ticket offers, right? So we can charge $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to do keynotes. When you share, these can be both low ticket, mid ticket offers that help you show your authority. They build some gravity around your business. So they help people start to see how things can come together or start to move towards your offer. Okay. You can also use these to generate demand for your product or service. Then we have the show mode, which is where you are a trainer or you act as a mentor. These things help you build trust, confidence, and momentum, not just in you, but in the people that work with you. This is where you get to demonstrate your expertise and, more importantly, your thinking. People want to know how we think. They need to know that your thinking and my thinking align together so that if we are working together, we know that there's not going to be all this kind of friction and conflict. And these show opportunities come in the form of workshops, webinars. This could even be a sprint, right? So you could put sprints under here. You could put a challenge under here, but challenges are harder. So the show step, you're being a trainer and a mentor, you pull off pieces of your core and you turn them into workshops, webinars, etc. Those can be low ticket, those can also be mid ticket, depending upon what you're going to do. Then finally, we have serve, which is our full offer. So we're going to coach people through our full offer. We're promising them some kind of transformation and they get access to us. We serve as guides using our expertise and we help our clients make the right decisions. We lead with questions. We serve by answering questions. But everything we do, whether we're sharing in this ecosystem, showing in this ecosystem, or serving within it, everything is leading to our core offer. That's the challenge you run into here with the product ladder, the value ladder, etc. People will create things that are completely outside of what they want to be known for or outside of their signature offer, which is where all of their thinking is and their expertise is. And they'll create things that don't align, ultimately won't help people ascend in their offer structure from low to high. Plus, think about all of the files that you have to manage, all of the funnels that you may have to manage, all the different things that you have to take care of when you're doing this value product slash ascension ladder. Okay. So stop thinking value ladder, start thinking ecosystems. And we do that with share, show, and serve. So the way this looks, if we take our offer and we break this down, up here at the top, we've got this speaking and right, this is share. We've got our speaking and author where we can do keynotes, we can do group programs, we can do books, we work with individuals. Over here we have show, so we're demonstrating our expertise in webinars, workshops, working with groups, for example. And then finally down here in this bottom one, we're serving our clients either in group ways or individuals and group ways. Our clients can enter this process, this ecosystem, anywhere they want to. I mean, they can enter right down here at the final point, which is ultimately where we want them. But they can enter anywhere they want to. But again, we're still driving them towards what our main core offer is. And everything is revolving around this offer. Now, challenges with mid-tier offers are you generally will promise some kind of transformation, but you're not going to give them that much access to you. And therefore, people will think maybe I can just do this on my own. Usually these mid-tier challenges sit way too close to our signature process. Maybe we have them priced too closely or we have them messaged too closely. And so people don't know which to choose. They get confused by it because they require just as much messaging to sell as what your regular offer does. So why spend time and money and effort trying to message a mid-tier offer that's so close to your actual offer that you just confuse people and you waste time, effort, and money. And you always run the risk of stealing attention away from your signature process. So keep in mind the mid-tier should not at all compete with your signature offer. If you've drawn up a mid-tier and it does compete with it, you need to really rethink your signature offer. Maybe you don't have the right one. So keep that piece in mind. Mid-tiers can work when they have one of three things. We have compression, we have containers, or we're trying to get clarity. So if we're compressing something, we're going to compress it to a shorter time frame. But my thing is, if you're going to compress your core offer to a shorter time frame and give them the same outcome, then you should really rethink your signature process and figure out why you can't deliver it in a shorter time frame to begin with. And then just sell your signature offer, okay? But these usually also come with less access to you. So compression is one way that it can work. We're going to do it, but we're going to do it a lot faster. Think about VIP days. That's a good example of compression. In these, you're going to do diagnosis and give direction, but you are not going to give them execution or implementation. VIP days, I think, is just another word for sprint or intensive. Those are, you can use those as marketing terms to sell it. So they can work if you're going to compress stuff. They can work if you're going to keep it in a container. Okay. This is where I say, if you really want to do this, but keep in mind, doing this will put us in conflict with this one, where it's going to sit too close to our signature process, where messaging is going to start to conflict and it might steal attention away from your whole offer if you don't message it right. So what you can do in the container is you can turn a phase into an offer. Usually I'll tell you, if you have one phase, it can be an offer, then your entire offer is probably too big. But let's assume that your offer is right sized and you want to try taking just a phase out. We're going to run this phase as a VIP day, and our goal is to get people to essentially buy the rest of it. Now, keep in mind, you're going to have a price for this and you're going to have a price for this. So you want to make sure that the pricing for both is equal to what your signature offer is. But let's say you do it. We're going to turn our phase into a sprint. This will help provide a map for people, but it does not give them the full navigation. So the end is the promise that will get you here, that transformation that you do within that phase. But you need to help them understand during this process that if they zoom out, there's much more to it than just what they did. You know, so it's kind of the old, hey, I just gave you the keys to the car, you don't know how to drive. So you have to figure out from this, how do you get them in to here? And maybe that's, I apply the cost of the workshop or the sprint or whatever it is, the VIP day, to the cost of the overall program. And then finally, if you're looking at mid-tier offers, maybe there's something you can do to help them clarify or reduce some uncertainty in their business. So what you want them to do is move away from uncertainty and start to create some kind of decision certainty. And those things can look like a diagnostic, could be a decent mid-tier offer. I know some people who charge $5,000 to come in and do an assessment on their business. They produce a report in the end, and that report has actions on it that they need to go take. So you could turn this into a diagnostic, some kind of an assessment, maybe a facilitated weekly session that's where you get paid by the hour for some kind of consulting. You could call this a sprint or an intensive. So let me go back to your sheet here. Okay, so mid-tier, is it even a good idea? I think it can be, but it has to be priced in a way that it doesn't conflict, serves to help them clarify, reduce uncertainty, etc. So that could be, if you go back to, and I don't like this thinking, I've said that already, but if you go back to the value ladder, like the group program fits right here in, excuse me, right here in the center. And then over here, this is your one-on-one stuff. And then obviously this is the low ticket things, mini courses, those types of things. But even at that rate, everything is pointing back to my offer. If they get access to you, then it doesn't go down here. It stays right up here in the show section. So, okay, hopefully that helps. I'm way, way longer with this than I thought I would be. I apologize for that. But we can talk about this more in the meeting on Thursday if you want. So hopefully that answers your questions. If it doesn't, please send me a DM or a note and let me know, or just show up at the weekly pour and we can chat through anything that doesn't make sense.